Celiac is an autoimmune disease that affects 1 out of every 133 here in the U.S., and in Europe it's 1 out of every 100. The only way to prevent long-term issues is to have a gluten-free diet, which is omitting wheat, rye, and barley. 90% of the products that are available on the market now contain some form of wheat, rye, and barley. So it's a diet-based disease.
So how did you come to learn about celiac disease?
In 2005, I gave birth to my youngest daughter and ended up in the hospital very ill with gallbladder issues, and then continued to be ill for another 18 months. They tested me for everything. They thought I had IBS, and then they thought that I had Crohn's, and so the symptoms of celiac disease are so common to so many other diseases that it's a long process to determine whether or not that's what it is. And then in October of 2005, or 2006, I think it was 2005, they diagnosed me with celiac disease, and I had to learn how to live gluten-free.
And how did that affect you when you were given that diagnosis? Had you heard anything about it before? Was this something where you had no idea the far-reaching implications that it had?
Well, and that's what triggered my current role as an educator. Our insurance didn't cover the nutritionist that I desperately needed to survive. So I had to research and research and research on my own, and celiac disease is, we're just starting to understand more about it. And at the time, the information was sporadic, a lot of misinformation, a lot of resources, but just very overwhelming process. And I think at first it was extremely hard. It was very frustrating. I remember walking into the mall at Christmas time with my daughters and smelling all the food and knowing that I couldn't eat anything at all. Hundreds of people. And that was a very, very sad feeling. And my oldest daughter and I sat down and decided that we were going to take charge and go through a 4-page list of the items that I can't have in my body. So we grabbed everything in the house, from laundry detergent to Ritz crackers, had a good pile, had a bad pile, and the bad pile grew and grew and grew and grew, while the good pile just remained very small. And she looked at me and she said, "Mom, you're gonna die, aren't you?" I said, "Nope, I think I'm gonna get angry, and I'm gonna do something about this, because that's my personality, it's who I am." So it was a very hard choice at that point, because as a mother, you certainly don't want your children to feel that any type of adversity is the end all. So I had to make a very clear, cognizant choice of how am I going to teach my daughter that perseverance and determination will lead to success. So I wanted to show my daughter that no matter what happens in your life, you wipe your knees off and you get up and move forward. So I wanted to show my daughter that no matter what happens in your life, you wipe your knees off and you get up and move forward. And I'm all about karma and helping other people see that the cup is half full rather than half empty. So all along my life, I've always coached on various levels, from marketing to soccer. After inundating myself with tons and tons of information about celiac disease and the polypeptides and all of the science behind it that we know so far, so it was the right fit. And I think at that time I realized what my purpose was, which is to help other people understand and wrap their head around this disease, because it's not just about food, it's the emotional and psychological aspects. We spend 80% of our time eating. Come over, have dinner, let's go out to lunch, family barbecue. And so I think on a psychosocial piece, food allergies are pretty overwhelming for people. And I can only imagine what it would be like to have a child with a food allergy, which I do now. So I found that it was a huge blessing and definitely my calling.
In speaking to people when you go and you do your lectures or your talks or the one-on-one coaching, what do you find to be the biggest response that's unexpected that you hear from people when you talk to them about the disease and besides just the eating, everything else that goes with it?
I think along the years, over the years, I found that the largest response, which just feels wonderful to me, is that they finally have a place where somebody understands. They finally have a place where they, how did you know? You know, that kind of epiphany moment when they're like, oh my God, thank you. And it's been wonderful. Training school systems and restaurants, working with various organizations in regards to really having an understanding of the impact that food allergies have. Having the response of understanding has just been overwhelmingly powerful for me. I design worksheets that we use in class that I use myself, and very beneficial. I just feel very comfortable in that role. It just feels, it's not a job, it's not I jump out of bed looking forward to it. So for me, I just think I'm at the right place.
And so you kind of feel that it's almost a calling for you to do this.
Yep.
And, you know, ultimately, where do you kind of see this taking you?
The doors always open in unexpected ways, so my big goal is to continue to be a life coach, more conferences nationally. Midwest seems to have less resources than the West Coast and the East Coast. We have more resources now. I work internationally now, and doors keep popping open and great things are happening, and developing a community of people who have to live gluten-free, having more of a public understanding and empathy, advocating to have that understanding for others will make the next generation's life so much easier. So it's been a great experience, I think, to really learn and be a part of so many people's lives on that level.
I think a lot of it has to do with the outlook of what you've taken from hearing this devastating news and really turning it around and turning it into a positive. Can you speak a little to that, Rustie, and provide some inspiration?
My personal philosophy is we're here for a reason. We all have a purpose, and we all have a gift. Some people have multiple gifts, and really tapping into that part of you and owning it and accepting that gets, it'll get you through anything. And I think that staying positive and focusing and really getting rid of the personal negative beliefs, because we all have them. Really trying to peel that away and stay focused on affirmations and motivating yourself. There's plenty of resources out there for affirmations. You can write your own affirmations. Affirmations very similar to prayers. I find them extremely helpful. I was going through the beginning phases of this and was nervous and anxious and angry, but really having to pull myself out of that and peel away those negative beliefs, because it's not true. And it doesn't matter what the circumstances for anyone. I don't believe that holding on to those negative beliefs is healthy.
So probably one of the first things that someone could do today, no matter what situation that they're in, is to let go of the I can'ts.
That's my
I'm not
worksheet.
able to.
One of the first worksheets that I designed for my students, which I found to be one of the most powerful things that I could do, was the I can list. And it's just a little list that you write, brainstorm the things you can do on an index card and throw it in your purse or throw it in your car. And when you stumble across it again, you'll read the list and then you'll write more on it. And it's amazing how just having that little act opens up these doors of, yes, I can hug, and yes, I can laugh. Just move forward. Then the more you write on that list, the index card gets a little dingy and it's beat up in the corners.
These are things that you can do. Don't focus on everything else that's going on around
Exactly
you.
right.
It's what you can do. And it's what you have done. Look what you have done. An amazing, amazing story, Rustie. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your knowledge and being out there bringing the power of one to people all over the world.